Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the adaptive diarchy, which is the authority between two heads. This is research is done by Zhanghui Liu, who is a PhD at Tsinghua University, and Yuqing Chu from Peking University, also a PhD. And the abstract of this is basically talking about many parts of China's bureaucracy feature diarchy, where two executive with ambiguous allocation of de facto power are appointed. And they claim that there's rationale for diarchy, showing how a ruler can benefit from subordinates collusion or introducing mutual check between them. And I think this is one of the most controversial research that I've read in quite a while. And because that I think the check system is quite common in the United States with the three branches, of course, as we all know. And it's basically claiming that in an uncertain world, the relationship between the features is either mutual check or collusion in different times. And although the formal decision-making authority is carved in stone, the allocation of real authority is adaptive ex post in equilibrium. And we also they also embed the baseline setting in an infinite horizontal model to explore the historical shift, roving to stationary supervisors. So, first of all, they want to define what diarchy is, which is two executives with ambiguous allocation of the de facto power, which prevails in both imperial and modern China. And for persistent feature of diarchy, which is one of the two executives is appointed by the ruler, and the allocation of de facto power is also the two executive is ambiguous, and the two executives are appointed from a highly fluid hierarchy with sharing similar status. And it's often the case that supervisors become stationary and de facto diarchy emerges. And the president, she introduces mutual checks with no effective hedge against awareness collusion. And this is basically the study they did, which there's the absent supervisor, roving supervisor, and the stationary supervisor. And the timing of this, which is the president chooses the formal resume, and the state of the world and the identity of the projects are realized and privately observed by agents. And S chooses whether to require M to share execution right with him, and M decides whether to accept or reject S proposal. And M and S simultaneously advise P on the adoption of a project, which P makes the decision. The implementation cost is drawn from the state-dependent distribution. Under SS, if collusion between S and M succeeds and the two agents jointly decide whether or not to implement the chosen project. Otherwise, M alone decides on the implementation. And under SS, if the implementation is successful, SM and would divide the private benefit. So what are the results? Relationship between agents depends on the state of the world, and in crisis times, the relationship features collusion, and in normal times, the relationship features mutual checks. Which is I think is quite interesting because when you have separate checks in place, I think there's less of chance for corruption to happen, and there's a separate equilibrium, which information about the state is fully revealed in communication. And allocation of real authority is adaptive, which in crisis time P sees real authority to M, and in normal time P sees real authority to S. And you can see the dynamics, tension, and regimen shift, and which means the main idea is that P has to adjust her choices of formal resumes when learning about the actual extent, which enhances the control, erodes agents' participation, and depending on the public histories, when adaptive diarchy appears, and the principle gradually tolerating collusion, which as a result of learning. So the researchers basically claim that the conclusion for this is that the ruler may benefit from subordinate collusion while introducing mutual checks. And we limit attention to a very special case, to states, 4 projects, and 3 resumes. And their analysis exemplifies how adoption can be achieved instead of relying solely on bureaucracy, for example, like the party state in China and stuff like that, which I found really, really interesting. And it's certainly interesting read for this paper. And if you guys want to check it out, it's called Adaptive Hierarchy Authority Between Two Heads. Yep. So I will see you guys in the next episode.